So what we've been witnessing these last couple of weeks is the downward spiral of Donald Trump, and he just keeps getting worse. On top of that, he's trying to promote his AI economy, and I want to go over both of these things, and let's jump right in. So first, this is Donald talking about his daughter Ivanka, of all things, and you got to see it for yourself.
Most interesting story. Boy, do you look like Ivanka. Has anyone ever told you that? I'm saying, is that Ivanka? Could you just turn around for the camera? Does she look like Ivanka? It's the most unbelievable thing. I didn't want to take a chance. I say, is that Ivanka? You look just like Ivanka, which is a great compliment, actually.
So I'll just say this, he has a tendency to want to hire people that looks like his daughter. He's made strange comments about his daughter in the past before, and I'll let you guys be the judge of that. He's obviously a strange dude. And it's interesting because I think the people who follow Trump and like Trump, they're looking for their relationship, or I guess their Ivanka. And Fox News is saying, hey, there might be a possibility of you're going to find an Ivanka on your own. Check this out. Listen to this. This is Fox News talking about AI and relationships.
How about this as a final question? Do you think it's likely, am I being hyperbolic, to think that not just in our lifetimes, but in the next 10 years, you will see maybe men, but people creating long-term, maybe exclusive relationships with something other than a human? A lot of people. By the way, you said 1 in 3. That sounds pretty mainstream to me.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very common. You have to understand that a lot of the needs and desires that we go to relationships to satisfy are not material, they're psychological. And on some level, the mind decides whether or not they are going to be satisfied or not. This is something that the original movie, The Matrix, I think got very, very well. Very, very right. It's like the mind decides what's real. For example, one of the things that people go to relationships for is emotional support and validation. We already know today in 2025 that that's the #1 use case for ChatGPT. And that wasn't something that developers presented or marketed to the general public. That's just how the general public en masse decided how to use that technology. Yeah. Now, does that mean that ChatGPT can emotionally support and validate another human being as well as another human being can? Maybe yes, maybe no. It kind of depends. Right now, for example, I think ChatGPT might be better than a mediocre therapist. And I'm speaking to you as a psychologist. I don't think it's better than an exceptional therapist, but it might be better than a mediocre therapist. And how many mediocre therapists do you think there are in the world?
I don't know. This is where we're at as a society. And I'll let you be the judge. Is it better to, go after your own daughter, or better to make relationship with robots, if that's the two choices that we have in the world? That's apparently what Fox is presenting us with. I noticed something very interesting also. They mentioned in terms of relationship with a chat bot, like 1 out of 3. And I wonder if it's the same 1 out of 3 who are MAGA. No, seriously, because that's what we always talk about is like, when you look at the polling data, the most recent one, it's always kind of like that. There's, you could say 1/3 independent, 1/3 Democrat, and 1/3, Republican MAGA. Who are these 1 out of 3 that want this robot relationship? These are the discussions. I also want to show you this. Fox is like trying to prep you mentally to giving up your land and paying higher electricity effectively for data centers, right? This is all pushing the AI world, or even you could argue the Matrix world. Listen to Fox News regarding data centers.
So this farm is 150 acres. Yeah, they're going to be farms. And there will be transmission lines that have to go through developments and farms. That's the very nature of a growing economy. Like, everybody needs to get on board. I just don't. You know what? Buy a fake tree.
Oh, dagger right in my heart, Dagan.
What? I have a fake tree.
Dagan. Oh.
No, I have a beautiful real tree.
Dagan.
Coming up, no time for this.
I know, I can't afford the tree.
So if you noticed in their thing, they have Rise of AI, and basically what they're trying to get you to go with is like, okay, we're going to get rid of farms, we're going to have more data centers, we need the power, and we need that land, and you need to start adjusting your lifestyle. That's effectively what we're talking about here. That's why it says the Rise of AI behind there, and also says AI infrastructure build out lifts local economies, but they're trying to sell this to people, and I don't know how many Fox viewers are really going to go along with it when they realize what's going on. So is the end result, if we give up our farms and give up our land, that I guess the benefit is we're going to have relationships with the robots. Is that what we're saying? At least one of our three of us are saying that, apparently. Listen to more, and it's crazy to go through this stuff because it doesn't seem real, but this is like, essentially we're living in the prequel to The Matrix, I feel like. This is Ted Cruz when Trump recently assigned the AI order that was like, hey, states, you can't legislate AI. We want this one rule done by Trump and David Sachs. Basically, Sachs, if you don't know, is sort of like a private hedge fund kind of person who wants industry to control everything. Ted Cruz chimes in. Listen to what he says about this.
Today, America's economy is more than 50% larger than Europe's, and the two drivers of that are tech and the shale revolution. It transformed this country, and AI is the same thing. It's a race, and if China wins the race, whoever wins, the values of that country will affect all of AI. We don't want China's values of surveillance and centralized control by the communist government governing AI. We want American values of free speech, of individual liberty, of respecting the individual. So this executive order, I believe, is tremendously important. Thank you for your leadership.
And it's funny what Cruz is talking about. I've talked about this before. I know how they're trying to sell it as like, free speech and liberty and individual, but really what it's about corporations controlling everything, And they're going to try to make the case, we don't want to be about China surveilling you and stuff like that. We actually want to just be about American companies surveilling you. Oh, wow, great, big tech. They want to limit states' ability to regulate AI. And there's any number of things that you would want regulation in there. I've told you this one before. I think it's an important one. Right to your image. Do you want someone to manipulate your image or your voice to, have you doing things or saying things that you never said? I think that's a big one. Another one would be, do you want to have decisions based on, say, your health insurance, car insurance, home insurance, or things, or even determination of how much you'll pay in rent or your mortgage rates, all done by computer, basically AI, skipping humans altogether, right? Essentially, we're handing over everything to the AI overlords. That's the kind of stuff that the Trump people are pushing, and I want to just make it clear, and then that's why then it becomes important when you look at the stuff that Fox News is saying, because they're trying to prepare people for this effectively, brave new world. Take a look at this also. Trump's then talking about effectively enriching himself and celebrating that. This is the arch thing. You can listen.
Unbelievable on policy. And we have a policy thing that's going to be unbelievable happening. Should I announce it or should I keep it quiet? I put Vince in charge of the Triumphal Arc. We're building an arc like the Arc de Triomphe. And we're building it by the Arlington Bridge, the Arlington Center.
He wants to build a ballroom, he wants to build an arc. I've showed you this before. And what's interesting, the way he talks about this stuff, if you ever watch how he signs executive order, people kind of explain things to him. I doubt he understands any of it at all. Or when he's talking about, say, the arch kind of thing, he's in a way asking for permission. Can I say this? Can I not say this? There was an interesting leak here from the White House. They took a picture of his desk. You can see it right there, and it shows draft truth, meaning that, people are preparing these things ahead of time before they go out. And I thought this was kind of an interesting one. It is something that you will see, quite a bit with Trump. There'll be various types of tweets. They'll have a bunch pre-packaged, ready to go. And effectively, sometimes it's his communication, sometimes not. And I just wanted to show you, yes, if you thought maybe sometimes other people write Trump's, truths, you're correct. You can kind of see it right there. Also, I want to show you this. This is where regular people are feeling. Now we're changing our eating habits. This is talking about McDonald's. Have a listen to this.
McDonald's, and this almost also tells the story of the fact that beef is having such difficulties at this particular point, because look at McDonald's, the sales of beef in terms of how much folks are actually having. Yeah. You see that it's just absolutely, look at this, 300 million pounds of chicken sold to McDonald's.
And you can see this is actually a massive difference. Chicken's like doubling up of beef. And I know a lot of people have been saying that beef is really expensive, and you're actually just seeing it also at McDonald's. This is actually a really interesting one also. It says, a majority of Americans reported needing to change what groceries they buy in order to stay within budget. And basically it covers different income groups. And essentially when people go to the store, things cost too much, right? So they're changing their diets. And that's why I showed you the McDonald's thing. And then when you check in on what Trump is doing, he's like talking about snakes and stuff. Have a listen to this.
Did you hear this, Sergeant? And so he's being read his rights and his They thought he was dead 3 times, 3 different times. They carried him out, feeding him the antivenom, and over a period of months, he was unconscious for a long time, many weeks, and he made it. I asked him, "How you doing today?" He said, "Is it perfect? Look how quiet everybody is." You know, it's funny when you talk about snakes and things like that, that people find it interesting. Would anybody like to go to Peru and walk around the forest with it? He says, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'll say no, thank you. But this was a real... Did they ever find the snake, by the way?
No sane person can look at this and be like, oh yeah, that's the guy I want leading the country. I want to show you a perspective from outside the country, how Trump and his policies are hurting tourism. Listen to this.
$2.3 trillion is the estimated contribution to GDP to US tourism. So people coming into the US, bringing their money with it and spending in the US. It's one of the biggest contributors to the US economy. And it looks like Donald Trump and the Republican Party have introduced something which is probably the biggest contributor to no tourism in the US. Have you heard about it? It's ridiculous. So if you want to go to the US and you're in the UK or any kind of similar country to the UK, which is visa free, then you've got to give 5 years worth of social media, access to 5 years social media, email addresses and phone numbers of all your friends. I think I heard someone talk about you've got to give some kind of DNA sample as well. No thanks, Donald.
So as you can see, people around the world are talking about the decline of tourism in the USA, and we're all watching live also the meltdown of Trump. I don't think this stuff is sustainable, and we're heading into midterms. I think after that, if the Democrats do sweep and do really, really well, Trump will go in the lame duck status, and then we'll be talking about who's going to be the next president, and hopefully Trump will retreat. We're going to watch this, though, as they're in the final sprint before midterms. So thanks for watching. I want to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next video.